everybody. Hello and welcome to the show tonight. Now, my guest tonight, I am so beyond excited about this guest. He's someone that I have been friends with for many, many years. He's possibly, I think, one of the most respected hair cutters in the world, and he has inspired generations of hairdressers. He's part of so many hairdressers' life story, and I'm super thrilled to have him. Who is this gentleman? It is Mr. Tim Hartley. Please welcome Tim Hartley to my screen. Hi,
Wow,
Tim. How are you?
We made it.
We made it, Tim. It's always hard with these digital. You hope that it's going to work, and you know, we've had a few problems over the time, but fingers crossed, we're gonna do all right. How are you?
I'm very good. I have to say I'm amazed that we got this together, and thank you to you and your team, because all I did was well, I've learned a lot tonight anyway. So here we are.
Tim Hartley, you know what? First of all, I said to my business partner Sue, I said, Tim, I'd really like to see if I can get Tim on the show, and she said, what a wonderful idea. And then the more I started thinking about it, the more I started thinking of all of those years, Tim, all of those years that you and I worked together. I'd open the show, Sassoon would close the show, or you'd close the show. We'd top and tail for so many incredible shows around the world, wouldn't we?
Exactly. Well, you know what I have to say is that we're a perfect foil for each other, because you would get them, I used to be terrified when I'd be hearing all the cheering and all the applause that you'd be getting, and thinking, oh my goodness me, I have to try and follow that.
Oh, Tim, you always did. And one of the things, one of the things that really inspired me, Tim, right from the early days, I can remember when I started out. And one of the things that really changed the way that I worked with long hair was through the simplicity and the way that yourself, Tim Hartley, worked with hair. There was always such a clear message in what you did. There was always a technique. And so very early on, I took that to heart, that was a good thing. And so, Tim, I have just loved watching your creations year after year.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm right back at you, because, I learned so much from watching you. I mean, I can remember one time we had 2 weeks, a different location in Germany every night. Up with the crack of dawn, up and off, bags packed, and oh gosh,
on a bus.
It was on a bus from one end of Germany to the other. And night after night, I could, enjoy seeing you. But, the amazing thing was your discipline, and the fact that, amazing technique, and it carried so well. And it really inspired me a lot, because I think that I adjusted, my cloth accordingly, as I was working along. And as with all of these things, it's part of life's rich pattern, isn't it? And it does kind of make you what you are, because it's a very long time ago now, unfortunately.
It is a long time ago. And also, Tim, I mean, there's not a lot of us who are truly global educators. There are so many educators, so many amazing educators who are based in different countries. But one of the things both you and I have to our credit is probably near on 30 years of traveling the world educating hairdressers, literally from one end of the world to the other.
Yeah. I mean, when people say that you touch people's lives, I mean, that really is very, very true. And can you imagine if we could count up the number of people that we've actually who've seen our work in shows, but also I know that you teach amazingly as well, and all those one-to-ones and all those demos and hands-on and stuff that we've done. is just absolutely amazing, isn't it?
You know what's incredible? I did a little homage to Peter Dawson, and Peter was
Ah,
a great friend of yours. I think again one of the most incredible colorists in the
yes.
world. And Peter died recently. To the viewers out there, and Peter and Tim have a very long and fun relationship
Mm,
working together. And I said in my homage to Peter, I said,
mm,
Peter will be remembered. And you know what, Tim? It's one of those things that we all say as human beings. Oh, I'll never forget you. I'll remember you. But of course, we all lead busy lives, and of course, that's never always the case. But one of the things, and I'm going to say this to both of us probably, is that people will remember him because Peter showed and shone a light in the hairdressing world, in
mm.
color, in his passion. And so many hairdressers, Tim, are going to say, I learnt that from Peter Dawson. Peter Dawson showed me that. So I think through that, our
Yeah.
longevity will continue, and yours definitely, sir.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a lovely thing to say. I remember Peter when he was, we used to live close by each other. I'd be going to Leeds on the train, and he would get on the train and chat with me because he was a client when he was still at
Mm.
school. And every new hairstyle, Peter had it. And he will just always be in my heart. But, the amazing thing is that he resonates with, or his whole thing was to resonate with creativity
Yeah,
and
yeah,
creative people, and
yeah.
that is not just young people, but it's people across the board.
Of
And
every age.
that was
Yeah,
just a wonderful
yeah,
thing, and so naughty. He was
yeah.
so naughty, got me into all
Well,
kinds of
listen.
trouble, which we
Speaking
won't
of
talk
naughty,
about that tonight. But he.
speaking of naughty, and God bless Peter. Both of us feel it, but I want to go more into your life, Tim.
Okay,
Now,
yeah,
originally you were from Manchester, weren't you?
I'm from York, actually.
Are you from
I'm a
York?
Yorkshireman. Yes, I'm a Yorkshireman. And what happened
Wow.
was I was an apprentice barber when I left school, and
And where, Tim? Where were you the apprentice barber?
I was at Newton's in York, in Heworth Village, on the high
Wow.
street there. Family business. They were amazing. The
Yeah.
old man and the old lady, they had a silver grey Jag, and she had the big hair, and he had the big moustache and fabulous wavy hair. They were a very glamorous couple.
Tim.
Um,
One of the things, and I'm when I'm listening to you talking,
yeah,
it's obviously that it was very prevalent in a very young age of you that design, music,
yeah,
architecture, and the
yeah,
aesthetics of life were
yeah,
very much part of your senses.
yeah. Well, I was only 14 or 15, when I started there. And my dad, made, he sort of said, right, you're going to go there because that's the best place. And my mom, they both said, yeah, that's where you're going to go. So there was no argument. I just wanted to do, what I had to do. I was so excited about hairdressing. It was the late sort of mid to late 60s, and I was a mod. I thought I was a mod. I don't think I was a very good mod, but I sort of, went for the look, and I loved the hair and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. So I was totally enraptured from
And
the
and
get-go,
what
to be honest.
and what moved you? So when did you move over to ladies hairdressing? Because back then, of course, it was a very segregated group. I mean, you were a barber or you were a ladies hairdresser. So when did you move over?
Well, I had a segue between Ron Newton and Vidal Sassoon, and I went to what was a unisex salon in York called Mr. Cuts, and it was in town. It was very, very sort of happening. And what I found was, that people, women and men would come to me for haircuts that I wasn't really sure about. I mean, I was okay as a barber, but I thought, I really need to expand this. So it wasn't until 74, when I went to Sassoon, I went as a barber, and I very quickly got embroiled in the whole thing. And so it was really a little while before I actually started to work on women and men together.
And Tim, was this in London? This is where you went. You went to
No,
London.
no, no, no. This was in Leeds and Manchester.
Wow.
This was still no. I mean, coming to London sort of came, in the early 80s,
Yeah. Yeah.
late 70s, early
Yeah.
80s.
So when you started with Sassoon, I mean, of course, Vidal had this amazing sort of, history. Even back then, I mean, truly, this was an absolutely happening place. So you must have been over the moon to get a job there.
Yeah, I was. And, I took my school friends with me and my best pals, to have an interview, and I got a job. And I was just blown. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I'd got a job there, because it was just such an incredible environment. Suddenly I was with like-minded people, that I hadn't really experienced before. People who were, legendary, people who were in Vogue magazine and Harper's and Queen and all of that stuff. So suddenly I was exposed to real, fashion, beauty, and
Yeah.
creativity.
Yeah. I mean, it was a real hub. And so what age were you when you actually came to London then, to start in London?
Well, I was 20 when I went to Sassoon in Manchester, and I was in my, sort of late 20s, early 30s when I moved to London
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah.
It was
And I
quite
mean,
long process.
coming into London during the 80s, my God, New Romantics, Boy George,
Yeah,
Soft Cell, the
yeah.
whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it must have been mind blowing to be part of that.
Well, it was, and even before that, I can remember being, doing training in London, and we were staying in Bond Street. There was the Embassy Club, there was Monkberry's, the places to be seen, and there I was, this young kid, with no money, staying on Bond Street and just being able to, thankfully, back in those days, get in for nothing because I looked all right, and then very quickly made friends with people behind the bar and didn't have to pay for drinks or
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was really such a kind of hedonistic time, really, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um
I mean, it must have been. I mean, the likes. I know that you were involved in things like Mark Arman's Tainted Love, and you were doing models' hair, and you were creating images and videos of things that we just, we now look as part of our history.
yeah, well, I mean, the thing was that it was the beginning of education with on videos, and I was lucky that I was a part of it from the beginning. But I have to tell you that I wasn't really sure about it. I don't think I was as accomplished as some of the people who were my contemporaries at the time.
Yeah.
So it was all a big learning curve for me, and
Mm.
quite frankly, I think it's a miracle that I got through all of that stuff, and then began to grow. It takes time to
Mm.
find your feet and
Mm.
all that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got to ask the question. I mean, I have to.
Mm.
Vidal, of course, was very instrumental in your success. And how did you find him, Tim, as the man? I mean, we know so much about him, so much is written about him, but as a personal man to you, how did you find him?
Well, terrifying in the beginning, and he really wasn't very sure about me, and it took me quite some time really to get to level off with him, because
Mm.
can you imagine, Roger Thompson and Christopher
Yeah,
Brook, and all of the people, and Vidal was a superstar when I met
yeah,
him. He was this incredible kind of aesthetic, and it took me time. Once I did get to know Vidal, I realized how he had shaped the lives of the people who had gone before, because he was so charismatic, and his modernist principles went through every aspect of what he was about.
Mm. Mm.
And I found that terrifying, because I wasn't really so knowledgeable, and I can remember having a book on Bauhaus and one on abstract art that my mum bought me. I think initially she got them from the library for me, and then eventually, she went out and bought them for me. And I literally had to, really pull my socks up and
Mm.
start to up my game, to really be able to level off with these people.
And this has been something, Tim, that's continued on in your life, because every collection you've done, and I know over the years, all the things that I've seen from you, they always start with an inspiration, but it's not just a fluffy inspiration. There's always a hard edge to how that came about and where that inspiration is drawn from, so that you can take it to the absolutely nth degree of making something absolutely stunning.
Yeah, the great thing about fashion is that you have to have a sense of a sense of humor, a sense of what's perhaps subversive, what could be termed as being slightly
Risque.
risque, yes, and all of that stuff. And I really loved the fact that in the explosion of fashion as I was growing up, you had people like Gautier and then the Japanese designers, Comme des Garçons, Yohji Yamamoto, Izumiyaki. Those people, they kind of subverted fashion a lot. And androgyny
and gender fluidity. I mean, this was something that absolutely was so 80s. We all think gender fluidity is so new and whatever, but I mean, it was during those early 80s, particularly during the new romantic, that was something. I mean, was it a boy, was it a girl? Who cared? No one cared, as long as they looked fantastic.
I think that suddenly beauty was I think that that's always been the case in the fashion, art, cinema. That fashion it adores it sort of devours beauty, and beauty is the thing that stops people in their tracks and arrests them.
If I could say, Tim, there was a show that you did, I can't remember what year it was. Caroline Nin was the first time that you used Caroline, and you had a real play on androgyny. You had the boys in beautiful sparkling hot pants with amazing makeup. Caroline was almost this dominatrix, this beautiful masculine woman, and she sung La Vie en Rose. And I remember being on tour with you around Germany at this time, and I was every night, Tim, you may not know this, I would leave my models, I would leg it, I would run literally the length of where we had to go, so that I could watch Caroline sing La Vie en Rose, and I could see the models come out.
It was just magical. What happened was, my art team, Shelley Kenton at the time, she said to me, "Oh, we're going to go to the Freedom Bar to see this. I've got you a ticket." She said, "You're coming to meet Caroline, this friend of hers." And I was just blown away. And instantly, we got on really well. And I said to her, "Would you consider doing this for a show? Because I just think it would be magical," which it was. And we did that. And my friend George Sharp, he designed the costumes that were kind of loosely, based on Cabaret.
Absolutely, the Kit Kat Club. Absolutely.
The Kit Kat Club and all that stuff. And what I realized was that, there were women and men were going to be in the show, but I didn't have any men's clothes that were all the same. And in the same way that, I did like a sailor suit that was for a girl or for a boy, or a kind of, it was quite subversive really in a way. And people, I think it was just something amazing. And
it was truly, truly magical. And of course, you were working with Annie Humphreys. And those of us hairdressers out there that know anything about color will know that she's literally the mother of color. I mean, she is a phenomenal tour de force. And Annie was just pumping those colors out, those amazing caramel blondes and colors that, oh my God, it was divine.
Well, her blondes, I used to drive her mad, because we had a color palette, it was red and blonde, I think, was kind of the way. But she did the most exquisite, pastel blondes, and she'd done these kind of like amazing women in the 60s right from the get-go, and had pioneered all these techniques. And the thing with Annie was that she would work like a Trojan, to get everything looking perfect. And that also, has left a big impression on me, because, to this day, I love to see, when the hands are going in and that concentration. I think that what Annie and her team did was to create, precision color that
Mm,
totally was appropriate for the time,
mm.
and
Well,
lives
you know, I
lives
mean,
on too.
yeah, I mean, one of the key things, and I think this has been so paramount for you, you are the king of precision cutting. You know, I mean, I don't say this lightly. I regard you as one of the best hair cutters in the world.
Oh,
And I
thank
do not care who disagrees with me, because I tell you what, I am Patrick Cameron and I said it. And I will say that, and I honestly, I will put my reputation on the line, Tim, to watch you cut is to watch a true master at
oh,
work.
thank you so much. Well, everything is subjective and whatever it is. But I am quite fearless at times, and I'm very single-minded, and I'm told that I'm opinionated and this and that. However, I feel comfortable being that way because that's
Mm.
what I like.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that it's an incredible thing when you can say that you do what you enjoy, and
Yeah.
I think every aspect of hairdressing is incredible. But when that section goes and you comb the hair down and vroom, you go in, it creates a gasp in
Mm,
the audience, which we've all heard.
mm.
And that to me is like a kind of, I think to myself, oh, fuck, what have I done? Have I gone too far, or, whatever this time? But I feel as though it's relevant because it creates excitement and,
Yeah.
and
You
interest.
know, I have to say, Tim, because I mean, obviously, I travel the world. Obviously, we're doing shows all
Yeah,
over the world.
yeah,
One of
yeah,
the interesting things that I always saw, that I always saw without fail,
yeah,
when you launched a look, Tim, and you and Annie worked together so closely, and you launched that look, of course, those looks were copied around the world, around the
yeah,
world. But one of the things that always stood out, no matter how hard that image was copied, the nuance that you brought to a haircut, or Annie to her color, always always pushed it that extra level. And just the balance of the hair, just the way that hair flicked, was just enough to put that signature on that you did it.
yeah. But well, wow, thank you. I think that I love a kind of timeless look in a way, and I really believe that the fashion cycle, the way that it goes, and this and that, there's that famous that the French say is the more it changes, the more it's the same,
Mm.
which means if it's good, then it can't change, because if something's good, then it can only be, it can get better, but if
Yeah,
it's good.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I love that fact that if something's beautifully done, and if it's done with care, everyone knows then that you can see that quality
yeah.
uh,
No,
in
no one can
work.
take it away, Tim. You know, once they see that quality, I think it becomes, it's so awe-inspiring for hairdressers who love their craft to see that quality.
Yeah, but I think I would say, when I would be watching you doing your chignons, and just working with hair, it becomes very magical very quickly.
Yeah,
There's nothing worse than thinking, oh my God, when is it gonna,
yeah,
when is it gonna finish? When is it? What's
yeah.
happening here? What is he doing?
You know, one of the things that I'm sure you've been the same, I'm sure you've been the same over the years, Tim. One of the things that I really probably love more than anything is when a hairdresser comes up to me who's been hairdressing for 20, 30, 40 years, 50
Yeah,
years, and they come up with tears in their eyes saying how much they loved what I did. And
yeah,
also I know that they did that to you. They'd come up to you and say, I
yeah,
loved what you did. You had real acolytes when it came to your work, people that
yeah.
religiously followed you.
Well, I think that it's all about passion, isn't it? If you don't have passion for what you're doing, then it's never going to work. And you also need to, kind of calm down a little bit and go with
Mm,
your passion, rather than, I think it's a lot of things, it's being comfortable in your own skin, and, but that takes a long time and a lot of
mm,
experience to
mm,
reach that stage, because
mm.
instantly, we panic, or, human nature, being what it is. So, just to be around, and we're very lucky because we're around people who are impressionable, as it were,
Yeah.
and who, are hungry for information, and that's, I think that once young people find a passion for hairdressing, it becomes their best friend, um,
Yes.
without a doubt, because,
Mm.
certainly my career has been, lots of different stages, lots of different things have happened in my personal life, we're on a long career path, and,
God
we're
willing.
there's something, God willing, touch wood,
I'm
um,
touching it.
yeah, that, it's very important, that we have that, and it becomes an amazing, support system, really,
Mm.
I believe.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I mean, you're such a passionate educator. It's interesting, when you think way back to your younger self, when you were with Sassoon, when you were with Vidal, and Vidal he demanded an excellence of you. And
Yeah.
it's interesting, isn't it? All these years later, that excellence that you demand of others because you want to help people.
Yes. Well, the thing is that with there's a great story when we did the launch of education in China, and Vidal said, and this was just absolutely fantastic. He said, "So when is the stylist show?" And these people, all the suits and the
Yeah.
advertising people, and the whatever, how it goes, they were all flummoxed, and they just looked at each other and they said, "Well, no, we're not doing one." And Vidal said, "Oh, we are. We need to do one
Yeah.
because
We need to bring
and
it to life.
I can remember in China in particular, when we did the launch, when the people arrived, it looked like a chef's convention. There were no
Yeah.
women, and they were all in these sort of funny white coats and this, that, and the other. There was no, and everyone looked identical, And when I think about this 20 odd years ago now that we did that, and what an incredible journey that was through. I think it wouldn't have happened if someone like Vidal hadn't said, we need to do a stylish show, we need to train people to
Yeah.
be able to be their personal best,
Yeah.
and that was always his thing so much. So,
Tim, of all the years that you've traveled the world, what's been one of your favorite shows? Can you remember? Something that stands out, one of your favorite?
well, I think that the launches, say, for instance, in Japan and in China, even all over the world. But I think that those for me are the ones which, particularly in China, were the ones that were the most far-reaching.
Hmm.
And today it's probably quite a difficult place to to be able to do things and to do it well. It's a
Hmm.
very kind of difficult society
Hmm.
as such. But yeah, I think those things. But even when after 9/11, and I was teaching the people in the final stages of their training at Sassoon's, that was amazing. Life after Sassoon, working with people like Davines
Hmm.
were incredible.
Hmm.
L'Oreal were the first people to pick me up,
Hmm.
and that gave me an incredible, sort of feeling that suddenly, I could do this,
Hmm.
on my
How did that feel, Tim? How did that feel leaving Sassoon? And then, of course, you are this global artist. How did that feel being all of a sudden,
yeah,
you went from Wella, now you're working for
yeah,
L'Oreal.
yeah.
How did that transition feel for you?
Well, I was beheaded,
Hmm.
for whatever reason. I was wrongfully dismissed, and I want to say that, because as I'm not perfect, but I didn't deserve that sort of
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
However, that kind of stuff is what goes down in business. And the nearer, I remember someone said to me once, the nearer the sun, the warmer the heat.
That's
So
right. That's true.
you put yourself in that scenario, and there were some people who were extremely vicious and cruel and what have you. And then there were other people who were genuinely, upset about it, and. However, you have to move on. And I felt like, to me, it was like, oh, right, do I really want to continue with this? but very quickly I realized that I missed what I was doing and I have
Mm,
something to offer.
mm.
And so we kind of grow with these things, don't we?
Well, sometimes life throws you what you need,
Yeah,
don't you? Sometimes, Tim, and I mean, it's happened to all of us who have been working all over the world and doing what we do, and we reach great heights. There are times when all of a sudden a door will shut that we weren't expecting it to shut,
yeah,
and you're left there thinking, well, what's next? But of course, our craft comes out, who we are comes out, and we realize that we are an asset to whoever we go to.
yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting, when you think about the correlation between what you do and what's out there. Now,
Yeah,
I think to myself sometimes, Bluminek, or there is no correlation really between me and what's going on out there.
yeah.
I think that sometimes, and I think, God, how am I going to level off, and how? But the whole point is, the proof is in actually, once you start doing things, it is very engaging to people.
Tim, I think this is a
And you
perfect,
forget that. You forget
yeah,
that.
but I think this is a perfect time because I'll tell you what, to my viewers out there is such a strong correlation between what's going on now, who you are, and your collection that you have done. Your
Thank you.
collection, Tim Hartley, is just as relevant today and is on the edge of what is happening. And to see your collection is just beautiful. And I'm lucky enough to be able to show some of the images from that collection. And let's have a little look. So, Tim, talk us through a little bit. I love these silhouettes that you
So
started
these are
with.
the silhouettes, and this was all about what I wanted to have was something. The clothes are very diaphanous, and there's a kind of mix between tailoring and softness in the clothing. But we have almost like a kind of tribal theme. But I think to have a little bit of mystery is really quite something. So this is, collaborating with Andy Gilbert and Karen Love, and we produced these. And
My favorite thing about this picture is I just love the balance of the earrings with the hair over. So we've got this, it really is, it's a beautiful, beautiful silhouette.
yeah, it's actually a vintage Valentino dress in here.
Yep.
And all of the jewelry, is vintage stuff.
Yeah.
Which I feel...
And once again, Tim, for any hairdresser looking at this and you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, what's that? I can't see it. It's a black photo. I can't see it. It's just a silhouette. Again, I'm going to ask all the hairdressers out there, just enjoy the imagery, relax, enjoy it. Look at the beautiful perimeters. Look at the way that the hair is sitting and so on. So these pictures are allowing your imagination to run free.
Exactly, and that could be a back shot. It could be a lot of things.
Let's have a look at the next one.
Go on, let's go to the next one. So that was layering. This is the line, and
I love this.
Yeah, and it's all about freedom and simplicity, and sort of celebrating, because the thing is that the fashion cycle has done its big cycle.
Brilliant.
And I think to young girls today, it's new to have a fabulous, simple bob, and that's clearly what this is. But there is more of a reveal when you see.
Yeah. Again, I love that diaphanous feeling. I've just got a comment, Tim, that's come up here. It says, Tim is the master of the masters. I love that. It's so cool.
Wow,
let's have a look at our next one.
So that was Anna. And then this is our graduation. And this, I love this. I was very keen to do something that was extremely, sort of optimistic and theatrical in a way. So I wanted a wind machine. I wanted the girls jumping. I wanted to pay homage to Bill King, the American photographer in the 80s, and all those sort of very energetic images that he did. And I felt that kind of optimism needed to be incorporated into the collections, just to have some vitality. We need vitality.
Yeah.
Here, and again, it's totally hidden, but it's emotive. You can decide. You can decide how you see that.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And also, Tim, just to tell some of my viewers, I think if they go onto your website, these are also available as posters or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
you've got, because there were some beautiful shots there that they could get as
yeah,
well.
yeah. We're
Okay,
doing artwork prints of a limited edition, and I sign
yeah,
them and send a little note with them.
yeah.
So here we have the reveal of Anna,
Oh, look at that.
and you know, I think that you know, Becky Sweeney did the color.
Yeah,
You know, the hair world is all about this, which I feel is totally achievable for a client too. You know, I think quite often stuff which is done for, you know, shows and you know, what have you, is not necessarily always that achievable, you know, for the salon. And
yeah,
what I try to do is something which is, you know, achievable also in a timely fashion. You know, the hair
yeah.
world, I want it to be really a good friend
Well, we're
to.
going to talk, Tim. We're going to talk about
Yeah.
Hair World in a minute. So
Okay.
let's go on to your next image that you've got
And
there.
the next image, yeah, I love this because this is our graduation, and you know, the hair's taking flight very simply, just with a simple use of product here.
What a beautiful color, Tim. What a beautiful
Yeah,
color.
it's amazing, and you know, you also have. I love the concept of putting quite strange combinations together as well, because here you've got the yellows and the blues and the greens, which, you know, are not necessarily colors that you would normally think would look, you know, quite so beautiful. You know,
I also like the image, Tim. It's very juxtaposed. So you've got this very structured gown and this kind of this very almost a Victorian feel to it, and then
yeah,
you've got this hair that's taking flight.
yeah. It's a Stella
Love it.
McCartney. It's a vintage Stella McCartney
I
dress.
thought it was. I thought it looked
And
like it. Yes.
it's got a fantastic shape and you know, structure to it. And you know, I just felt that it worked extremely well with the hair, and we just revisited the
Yeah.
kind of '90s makeup
Loved it.
when people like Kevin Aquan and
Yeah.
you know, I unfortunately never worked with him, but you know, just a master of
Yeah.
you know, makeup, and we
Yeah.
took him
Yeah.
and Bill King as our inspiration.
That's beautiful. And have we got one more image? Is there one more there, Randy? I'm sure I can't.
I
There
think,
we go.
yeah. We just again, just to show how what is literally like the new sort of must-have haircut is the kind of graduated, um, you know, Firefly meets
Yep. Yep.
ball haircut. You know,
I love it.
so it's the new now. It's the
Yeah.
new ordinary. Is basically, but making it extraordinary.
Yeah. Tim, yet again, I mean, this was shot just after COVID, just after we came out of lockdown. And I understand this was shot at your home as well.
Yeah,
and of course, you used Karen and Andy, that they came to help you. These photographs are beautiful, Tim. Beautiful.
Fantastic team. You know, you have to surround yourself with people who get it, you know, and clearly
Yeah.
you do, because you know, this whole, we wouldn't be talking now if that weren't the case. So, you know, it's having those correct people, you know, in place. But when, you know, what I love is, you know, I can go on about Bill King, you know, Kevin Aquan, you know, and you know, they're my sort of starting point. But when the team, you know, begin to really embrace that, you know, my sister Vanessa, you know, helped me with the clothes.
Well, I've got to do a shout out to Vanessa, because hi, Vanessa. Vanessa, I adore your brother, and I hope I'm doing him justice. And Vanessa, it's lovely to shout out and say hello. How was that, Tim?
Oh, fabulous! She loves you. She was so thrilled that we were doing this. So, hi, Ness. I hope you are there, and all my friends and family. You know.
So, Tim, tell us about Hair World, because I mean, we're putting lots of links up. So as we're talking, we're putting Sue, my business partner, she's putting lots of links up to things. So tell us about Hair World.
Well, Hair World came about with a friend of mine, John Kahn, who I've been working with since the early days of you know, leaving Sassoon. And we did a project together, and we started talking about this a long time ago, a long time before the COVID pestilence
fiasco.
And you know, started to plan to do this because I feel as though there needs to be a place for hair involved people at whatever level, to be able to get inspired, or and to hone their skills. And I felt that it needed to be done in a way that felt, slightly a little bit more emotional, and a little bit more, with feeling, and with humor. Because the one thing that you can't teach people is about suitability, and how to interact, and all of those things, which are also very important about, in terms of hairdressing. So I wanted to sort of take a simplistic, grassroots, organic, whatever you want to call it, approach to the hair, and then make it something else. To give it a whole, more of a dimension and more.
Now,
excitement.
Tim, I'm going to be honest here. And Tim, I hope you make money from this. Tim, I hope, because I know if I go onto your website, I know that there's lots of webinars. You've got them beautifully set out, saying exactly what they are. And I have to say to the hairdressers watching this, please, please, please understand, when you deal with people like Tim and I, we have got years and years and years of experience, and that comes at a cost. So, Tim, I hope that you have a cost there, and I hope that the people will pay that, because they should do.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I think it's, well, you couldn't say that there could be a more difficult time in the world, to launch something like this. But, we believe in it, and I think that it is going to be, and it is something quite unique.
It really is. I've been saying to a lot of people, Tim, especially to a lot of younger hairdressers, with so much information available on the World Wide Web, so much, find your icons, find the people that you really relate to. You are one of them, and I would strongly say to any hairdresser watching this, check out your hair world, because we have got the links up here as we're talking, because honestly, what you offer, Tim, is well, I'll tell you what, when it's gone, and the world will be a sad place for it. I'll tell you that now.
Well,
I'll say that, Tim, right now, between the two of us. When we are gone, we are gone. So for God's sake,
I think that there needs to be a legacy in a way, and I think it is important. And I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, as we all have, but I'm just as excited about what I'm doing now as I always was, because I feel it's important, and it's relevant, and it's something which can be so enriching for the hair involved. And all you need to do is to kind of dip your toe in, and follow what we're doing, because we're going to do all sorts of fabulous things, and it's going to be an ongoing process. And there's some of my archive stuff on there, but I think that hairdressers, they want to be part of what is the now, rather than whatever. And that's why I called the debut collection the new now, because we only have the now. We can dream, and whatever, but right now is all we have. So
it really is. And also to the viewers out there, the now is a scary place for Tim and I. It's a scary place. We don't have a salon to go back to. Education's in our blood, and we've given for all our years. And so for Tim and I, it's about finding the new now, and finding our place in what the new normal is. And so, Tim, what's your feeling at the moment? We've got to come to an end very soon. I hate that, because I could talk to you all night. But Timmy, what's your feeling? What's your feeling of the industry at the moment?
I think that I think it's interesting, because all the people I come across are really energized and work hard. And I do think that perhaps young people get a bit of a bad rap at the moment. But just going back to stuff, I mean, can you imagine? I can't imagine going to London as a youngster like I did today, and being able to do that. But people are making sacrifices.
They are
doing things, and they're putting themselves out there. So I think big shout out to that.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. And there's a young hairdresser somewhere who's sitting in your shadow or sitting in my shadow
Yeah.
and thinking to themselves, wow, I need to upskill. I need to do what I need to do to get better, like I did and like you did. And so I think that's really, isn't it? Just keep on working at your craft.
Exactly. And energy makes energy and passion makes passion. But I'd like to leave you with a thought, Patrick. I just love this. And, the thing is that brains open doors, but great hair knocks them off the hinges. And I really believe that. I think that, we can be as intellectualized and, this and that and whatever, we want to be. But at the end of the day, it's great hair that's going to, that's going to have the voice for us.
Tim Hartley, I love you. I really do. And I missed you and I miss our time together, but I am so excited. You are just as relevant, Tim, today as you were 20 years ago. Your work is stunning. It is beautiful. You know what? You and I just have to stay the distance, don't we? We've got to get out there. We are relevant. And I think it's really about sharing our craft with the new people coming through. And I think that's so important, isn't it?
Exactly. And our paths will cross. I know they will.
They will, Timmy. They will. And hopefully one day you'll open the show again. I'll close it, or I'll open it and you'll close it. Or better still, we'll do it together.
Just watch that. I would love that. On some platform.
Could you imagine the fun that we would have on that stage?
I'm crying laughing now at you because, I just think, there are so many stories and, this and that. And, we'll step it up for each other again.
Well, I would be an honor to step it up for you, sir. Absolute honor. So, Tim, I'm going to let you go and have your dinner. I want to just thank you from my heart for being part of my show. I miss you and I love you and I respect you and all the things that go with it. And trust me, it's wonderful. Yeah. Tim Hartley, lots and lots of love. I'll ring you after this interview finishes just to say a huge thank you. Tim, I love you. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that show. I did. I listen, I had notes here everywhere. I haven't looked at any of the notes because Tim and I just talk naturally. I hope you enjoyed it. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you all very soon. Remember, Bye.